Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is a 2005 American epic space opera film written and directed by George Lucas. It acts as the sixth Star Wars film overall released, and it's the third and last installment in the prequel trilogy, and it stars Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, Ian McDiarmid, Samuel L. Jackson, Christopher Lee, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, and Frank Oz. The film begins 3 years after the onset of the Clone Wars, and the Jedi Knights are spread across the galaxy, leading a massive war against the Separatists. The Jedi Council dispatches Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi to eliminate the notorious General Grievous, the leader of a Separatist army. Meanwhile, Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker grows closer to Palpatine, the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Empire, and, secretly, a Sith Lord known as Darth Sidious. Their deepening friendship threatens the Jedi Order, the Republic, and Anakin's best interest, and Lucas began writing the script before productions of Attack of the Clones ended. Productions of Revenge of the Sith started back in September of 2003, and filming took place in Australia with additional locations in Thailand, Switzerland, China, Italy, and the UK. Revenge of the Sith premiered on May 15, 2005 at the Cannes Film Festival, then released worldwide on May 19, 2005, and it received generally positive reviews from critics. The praise was directed towards its action sequences, the mature themes, the musical score, the VFX, and the performances of Ewan McGregor, Ian McDiarmid, Frank Oz, and Jimmy Smits. And criticisms did, however, focus on the dialogue and Hayden Christensen's performances. And The Revenge of the Sith broke several box office records during its opening week and went on to earn over $848 million worldwide, making it at the time the second highest grossing film in the Star Wars franchise. It was the highest grossing film in the US in 2005 and the second highest grossing film worldwide. The film also holds the record for the highest opening day gross on a Thursday, making $50 million. And yeah, this film, what can I say? I don't think people were really expecting much from this film, after the disappointment of Phantom Menace. But people noticed that the second installment, Attack of the Clones, slightly got better. So people were kind of, I'm guessing, hoping the film was gonna be at least better. And when this film came out, people were very pleased to say that this was the best of the prequel trilogies, with, at the time of its release, some critics even calling it probably the best of the entire Star Wars saga. And yeah, our great reviewer Roger Ebert did give this film 3.5 stars out of 4, writing, "If George Lucas bogged down in supplementary and theory in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, the Force is in a jollier mood this time, and Revenge of the Sith is a great entertainment." And other critics like Camila Pagela praised the film, comparing some of the scenes to works by modern painters and calling it the greatest work of art in recent memory. And critics say that about a prequel film, like, wow, like that is very interesting. But what does she mean by comparing some of its scenes to modern works by modern painters? Well, let's talk about the good of this film. And when you see what that critic was talking about some of like the scenery, she's right. And some of these shots are like, in my opinion, some are like the best damn looking shots I've ever seen in any Star Wars film. Like the opening sequences with Anakin and Obi-Wan flying, like flying in space. And I like this kind of space fight, over Coruscant, because normally these type of space battles happen deep up in space, but this space fight happened, it was kind of above the planet. So when they were fighting, you could kind of see like the planet as they were going, like the landscape of it, but it was like in space at the same time. It looked so cool and beautiful. And the VFX, my gosh, dude, like at the time when I watched this film, it was the best damn looking film. Like the improvement from this film to Attack of the Clones is very jarring. It's very jarring, you know, like they really know how to make space fights like work, my dude. Like, my gosh, dude, they know how to make space fights work. Like, oh my gosh. Another scene that I really liked was the scene with Anakin and Padme. Now, there's no dialogue in the scene, you know. This kind of happens before Anakin's kind of like torn between staying, you know, because Mace Windu told him to like wait for him and he's going to confront Palpatine, but he has a feeling that, you know, he's going to kill him, and if he kills Palpatine, Padme, he won't be able to have the power to save Padme. And he's looking out the window, then you see Padme looking out, and he just look and he starts to cry, and the visual look of Coruscant and just the look of it, it's just, oh, the colors and everything was just so wonderful. And wow, it really did move me. I really liked the whole rescue mission of saving Chancellor Palpatine. I really liked all that. That was a really good act and all that lot. It really got you going, and just a great. Another one what I really liked was Anakin and Padme. The shot with Anakin and Darth Sidious or Palpatine. It's no spoiler, he is the Sidious guy, and they're in this upper room and he's talking about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and my gosh, dude, like the visual look in that scene was just like really great, and just really vibrant and just beautiful to look at. Like a lot of these scenes look really great. Even Anakin versus Obi-Wan's fight towards the end in that kind of like fire world, I don't know what it was called, sorry, but it was really just wonderful. Oh, Mustafar, that's the name of the world. And even though some of the CGI in that fight looked a little bit so, it was still really great. I have to admit, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi just gets better and better, you know. Like, throughout each film, he slowly gets better and better, gets into his role more, and you really like this character. He's really great. Like, my gosh, is he pretty damn good, you know. Like, I feel like he's the best part, one of the best characters in this whole prequel trilogy, you know. Like, my gosh. And Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine, my gosh, dude, he is just so snarly and very, like, he's very intelligent, you know, he's very calculating. He knows what he's doing, he knows how he's playing the game and all that, and he's just, his performance is just so snarly and nasty. And yeah, I also really like Frank Oz as Yoda. He gets a bit more action in this film as well. And I have to admit, Hayden Christensen is slightly improved in this film. Slightly. Like, I have to admit, when he looks sad or angry, like, he can really emote those expressions well. And I really buy the fact that this is definitely Anakin Skywalker, Luke's father before him. And yeah, very great, you know. This film, John Williams' musical score, he always brings it on top with these musical scores, you know. He never ever fails. And the music always elevates when the action gets heavy and all that. And it always calms down and soothes when the action is kind of stopped or a nice relaxing moment. And he knows how to make a score, and just really damn great. Oh gosh. But this film, despite my love for it, I have to admit there are some aspects of this film that aren't too perfect. Let's talk about the mixed aspects of this film. And for me, I have to admit it's Hayden Christensen's performance. Now, I feel like he's improved from the previous film, definitely. But in all honesty, his performance in this film and the previous one is very kind of stale. Like, I don't know, he's doing well, but I do feel like his performance is very wooden. And I blame the director for that. I feel like George Lucas is to blame for his wooden performance, and much criticism did go towards his performance, and he ended up winning his second Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor. And many critics have claimed that this demonstrated George Lucas's weakness as a writer of dialogue, a subject which he openly agreed when receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute. And I do have to admit that George Lucas is kind of better at coming up with the overall story. Like, he's coming up with the original story, like the start, middle, end, what's happening in 1, 2, 3, like all these acts, But when it comes to writing dialogue and character interactions, he's kind of not that good, to be honest with you. Like, I have to admit, he isn't that great of a screenplay writer. When you go back to like the Star Wars films, like George Lucas only wrote and directed the first Star Wars film, and I mean, yeah, like in the second and third one, he had help by Leia Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan in the second and third movies, and you can really see like just how having someone else's input really affects, because he wrote all these films himself. It was him. The first, second, and third episodes were all him, all written by him. But in the first film, he had a ton of advice, a ton of help, and like these ones, he was just free to do whatever he wanted to do, and that spelled for disaster. And it really just comes down to the writing, It really, really does come down to the writing of it, and some of the dialogue, particularly when it comes to like Anakin, it's very cringy. I kind of think it's not that, great. And there are a lot of like cringiest scenes, like I'm not gonna lie, like even some dialogue done by Ewan McGregor when he was confronting Count Dooku, General Grievous actually, and it seemed very corny and oh dear, very, very, very corny. And I just feel like every time Anakin talks, it's like, oh no. I feel like he writes the worst dialogue for Anakin in particular, because everyone else is okay to a degree, but Anakin is just, oh dear. And we can come to our negatives. And what I really didn't like about this film is, what I didn't like is that even though I did like this film and it's a bit more serious and darker, it still has its problems that the prequels always have, Like, there are just certain things that the prequels do that kind of tick me off, Like, okay, the dialogue, yes. And I have to admit, Padme and Anakin's romance is a little bit like tacked on. It doesn't feel genuine, It just feels like he wrote them just to fall in love, and I feel like there's nothing really there, And someone like the battle sequences, particularly Anakin versus Obi-Wan's fight sequence, the visual look may have looked good, but when it came to like the fighting, some of like those scenes, I don't know, I was kind of smirking a little bit. I was kind of laughing at times because it looked kind of dumb. Like, it was like, I don't know, some of like the fight scenes of this film look kind of off to me, when they're fighting, I mean, when they were fighting in like on the lava and they were standing on this like, I don't know what they were, but they were like kind of hovering over the lava. It looked so fake. It was like, this is green screen right here. It was so bad. It was really, really, really bad. And that's the problem with these films, is that the dialogue isn't written to a T, and some of the visual effects when it comes to the fighting isn't always composited well. And in all honesty, that's kind of my only gripe with this film, because apart from that, this is a pretty damn good flick. You know, it may not be the best Star Wars film, but it is the best in the prequel trilogy. It's more serious, it feels more grown up than the other films, you know. This is more grown up. We don't get any Jar Jar talking in this film at all, because the fans pounded and pounded like George for like including Jar Jar in these films. And yeah, like, it's less annoying, I have to admit. There's less characters who have very cringy stereotypes, you know, in this film compared to the other two. And yeah, this is like a step in the slightly right direction when it comes to the visual look. And go check it out. I'm gonna give this film, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a B-. It's not perfect, it still has its problems. Some of the dialogue is kind of what's a bit more off-putting. Like, some of like the words they talk, the dialogue always seems to be bad when it comes to Anakin for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching this review. Please like and share this video and comment down below and tell me what's your favourite Star Wars flick. What's your favourite in the prequels? This is my favourite in the prequels, but thanks for watching this review. And as always, Boy the Review signing out.